Hi, eighth graders. It's Mrs. Martin. I am here for your April book talk and excited to do so. Hard to believe we are this far in the school year. I am going to give a couple of announcements before we get into your books today, and the first one is about the Spring Reading Challenge going on right now. You may have seen the link on Schoology a few days ago, or maybe you have been visiting the library homepage. If not, I hope that you will. It's a form that you can download. It's a bingo sheet. Put it on your Notability or print it if you'd like, and return it to me by May 21st to be eligible for prizes. It's a way to, just get credit for some of the reading that you are already doing for school or for fun. And there's lots of different challenges on there. Everything from reading graphic novels to finishing a book that you've already started. Maybe it's visiting a library, reading a book that became a movie, turning on the captions to a favorite show and reading those captions. All kinds of options on here that I hope will get you excited about doing some reading here in these last few weeks of the school year. It's hard to imagine that we are coming down to the end of the year, but we are. And so I hope that you will take on the Spring Reading Challenge. And again, you can find it on Schoology or on the library homepage and get it to me by May 21st. Good luck. Couple other announcements. We are having our Scholastic Book Fair this spring in person, and it'll be the week of May 10th through the 14th. I'll be sending more information to your classrooms and putting it out on Schoology as well. That'll be coming out soon. We're having our deadline for all library books and materials due back by Friday, May 28th. So if you've got any of that overdue stuff, we're really looking for, especially the things that maybe have been sitting at home in your cars, in backpacks from last year, overdue things in particular. If we can get those back and get your records cleaned up before you head off to high school, we want to do so. These records do follow you as you head into the high school years, and we don't want you to have to keep getting emails and notifications as you get into your high school career. So let's get those cleaned up, get those records taken care of. If you have lost a book, if you know there's just no way that book is still around, come talk to us. Send me a message on Schoology. We will figure out a way for you to take care of that. No problem. First book I am sharing with you today is Give a Boy a Gun by Todd Strasser. This is a pretty quick read in realistic fiction. And it's a story about a couple of kids who have been teased and bullied for a really long time at their high school, and they're pretty fed up. The story is written in such a way that you get to see it from the perspectives of Brendan and Gary, the two guys who have been bullied. And rather than them seeking out some counseling, talking to some others to get some support really for the teasing that's been going on, they make a very different choice, and it's a very tragic one. They go to a neighbor's home, a neighbor that happens to have a bunch of guns in his house. They take those guns, they bring them to school, and they hold their classmates hostage at a school dance. Unfortunately, we know that this kind of thing happens, around our country and our world with some really tragic consequences, and this book looks at some of that factual evidence throughout the story. Todd Strasser did research into school shootings in particular to write this fictional story. The book also really is written in kind of an interesting format. It's written with different news articles, text conversations, letters. You get to see multiple perspectives, so it's not just the point of view of Brendan and Gary and how things turn out for them. It's also from the point of view of different classmates, their families, people in the community. You get to see it from all sides and how this impacts an entire not just a school, but really an entire community from this event. I'd encourage you to take a look at this book, really to see how this choice for these boys is an unfortunate one for so many reasons, and as we know that is the case with any school shooting, being that it's a tragic consequence for absolutely everybody involved. Give a Boy a Gun by Todd Strasser, realistic fiction. If you're in the mood for a mystery, this is part of the danger.com series, where every book in the series, and these can be read out of order, are all involved in the internet or online presence in some way. Most Wanted is the story of Andy, who at the age of 16 learns that he's adopted. Well, this throws a whole wrench into Andy's world. He thought he knew who he was and who his family was, and now he learns that something is that's completely different. Well, Andy believes there's only one way to really set things right in his world, and that's to find out who his birth parents are. And he goes online, goes to the internet, starts doing some research to learn who his natural parents are. However, what he learns about his parents is not the best thing. He learns some stuff about them that turns out to be exactly the opposite of what he would hope to know about his natural parents. Jordan Cray writes a really interesting story, and it really begs the question, what happens when you find out more than you bargained for? Sometimes going online can have different consequences than you'd expect. And this mystery story does exactly that. Most Wanted is this book about Andy and learning about his true, his birth family, the truth behind that. But any book in this Danger.com series is going to take a look at an online presence in some way, and you could check those out in the mystery section. Also known as by Robin Benway, this is the first book in a series. What if you were not the average high school student, but rather, an international spy? If you've read Alibi Junior High, which is the middle school version, I guess, of the story, but with a male main character, you might enjoy this book because Maggie has never really minded her life up to this point. She has really cool parents who do international travel and they do international spy work. And so she's been cracking safes ever since she was little and traveling the world. She feels like this has always been better than being a part of cliques in school and bad lunch and, locker combinations that, take literally no brain power. Maggie and her parents are sent to New York City for her first assignment to do by herself. And when she is there, she suddenly has to do something that she's never had to do before, and that is to attend a private school and act like she's just a normal teenage kid. She has to pretend that she doesn't know everything about being an international spy while also doing spy work on the side. Also known as, by Robin Benway, a terrific adventure story. Find out how this goes, and can Maggie do it without blowing her cover? Slacker by Gordon Corman, a terrific, funny story about a kid who almost burns his house down because he's playing video games in the basement and forgets to take, I think it's his mom's lasagna, out of the oven. This, in fact, leads to his parents saying, "That's it. We're sick and tired of the fact that you are so into games that you ignore the outside world. It's time for you to get involved in something." So Cameron is forced to join a club at school. They give his parents give him all kinds of choices. You can join a sport, you can join a writing club, you can join the play. Cameron, though, is a smart kid, and he doesn't want to be involved in anything. So he decides he's going to just make up a club. He's going to pretend he's part of something to fool his parents so that he doesn't actually have to do anything and he can keep slacking off. Too bad, though, Cameron is so convincing, other kids sign up for the fake club, and suddenly Cameron is the president of the club that isn't even a real thing. This story is absolutely hilarious. You're going to love it, and you're going to love finding out how it goes for poor Cameron in Slacker by Gordon Corman. Booked by Kwame Alexander. If you've read any of Kwame's stories, you are never let down by anything by him. He's the author of The Crossover and Rebound, which are fantastic basketball stories. As you can tell from this cover, this is a soccer story. It's written in Kwame's fabulous free verse style. So these books move fast because of that style with lots of white space on the pages. Our main character is Nick. He's 12. He is learning about writing while he's also dealing with problems at home. He's got a bully who kind of, keeps coming at him. He's trying to impress a girl. He also has a rapping librarian, that's right, who is giving Nick some really great books to read along the way, and that's part of the reason for the title of this story. Nick, of course, is playing soccer, and that is a big part of what makes this book so fantastic. So any of those parts that you love, even if you think, I don't know, none of that really draws me in, but I already know I liked other books by Kwame Alexander, you should pick this up. You're not going to be disappointed. Kwame just is a fabulous writer and is one that is going to hook you from the first couple pages. Orbiting Jupiter by Gary Schmidt is the last book I'm sharing with you today. And this realistic fiction story is an interesting one. It is not a long book, but it's one of those stories that I feel really gets you into the characters the way that a much longer story might do. Jack meets his new foster brother in this story, and he already knows 3 things about him when they meet. He knows that Joseph almost killed a teacher. He knows that Joseph is coming back from staying at a place called Stone Mountain, where he had to stay for a very long time after almost killing the teacher. He also knows that Joseph has a daughter named Jupiter, and that he has never met Jupiter before. So Joseph is a teenager himself. Joseph is young. He's a young dad, and he's never met this baby girl, Jupiter. But Jack also has no idea, even though he knows these things about Joseph, has no idea that he is going to want to really help Joseph find Jupiter and help him meet her. This story is a fabulous read. It's an emotional one. It's one about these 2 foster brothers coming together, trying to figure out what it is to be family, and I guess maybe even a little bit of that whole, what you think you know about someone is maybe not always exactly true. If any of that sounds good, I would highly recommend Orbiting Jupiter by Gary Schmidt. I hope a book I shared today is one that you might want to pick up or put on hold. If not, maybe a book I've shared earlier this year, or that you'll message me or stop down in the library for a different recommendation. We have tons of new books. We just unpacked a couple boxes just about a week ago, and they are all up on top of the bookshelves down here. So we have lots of new ones that I didn't even get a chance to share with you today. And it'd be great for you to read some of them, some that I haven't had a chance to read, and you can tell me how good they are. Thanks so much for your attention, as always. Stop down and see me. I miss seeing you. And thanks. Happy reading.